Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, December 6, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And anyone listening on any other streaming platforms, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, wherever you listen to your get your streaming, welcome. Hey Frankie, welcome. Hey Shelby, welcome. Welcome to you both. Groove to the music a little bit. Hey, Minnesota. Welcome. Okay, so let me stop this and hold on one second, guys. I need to do one thing. Told you I got a new computer toy, and I'm just trying to make sure I have everything set up correctly here. Okay, so let's see. Today I want to talk about dimming your light. Do you dim your light for your spouse, partner, or friend? Do they always take center stage? Can you be you at all times? So, you know, growing up, we all have varying friends. I mean, our friends have come, friends have gone, friends have remained. Um, but who were you in that crowd? Um, if you hung out, if you were part of a clique, were you always the follower? Were you the leader? Was there equal opportunity? I don't know. Was there equal opportunity spotlight? I don't know. I'm just making that term up here. So were you that friend who was always in the shadows because that other friend was so overpowering? And overpowering may be a strong word to use, but was it always that one friend who got the attention and everyone else was kind of relegated to the back? In your family, if you were, okay, Shelby says I was always in the shadow. Okay, so if you were, what do I want to say? If you were that family member or that sibling, were you the Peter Brady? Anybody remembers that episode on the Brady Bunch with Peter Brady, were you always the one that people didn't see? Were you always somebody's sister or somebody's brother, someone's baby sister, someone's baby brother, younger sister, younger? I mean, were you always that person? Are you still that person? When you are at work and there's, everyone is on the same level, but is it always that one coworker that always gets called out for doing a great job, but all of you all worked on the same project? So is it just the fact that these people are able to, for lack of a better word, I'm going to use the word promote, that they're able to promote themselves more, that you have those people who are just, they're people just gravitate to them. And for some people, that's not their fault. That's just how they are, however their personality are, however their personality is. But there are some people who do crave that attention, and they want it. They don't want you getting the attention of someone else. If you're in a relationship, does your partner, male or female, get upset if you get attention from either the opposite sex, the same sex, or anybody? Do they not want you to talk to anyone? And if someone is talking to you, it's like, well, why are they talking to you? But if those people are talking to that person, it's not a big deal. So so that's what I want to talk about. People who are in the shadows, people who are on the back burner, the people that people don't see. Welcome, Power Girl. Why is it that those people always seem to have to fight just a little harder to be seen? Now, in my family, it's just my sister and I now. But even now, people in our family call me her baby sister, which bugs me. If I call one of them, they'll call her and say, yeah, your sister called me and, she said this, this, and this, and this. And we were talking about this. Not even, I'm not talking about anybody. I'm just having a conversation, but they literally call and tell my sister, well, yeah, she called and we talked about this, whatever. I'm like, seriously? So now, I don't talk to those people anymore. I don't call them. And they're like, well, how come you don't call me anymore? Because every time I call you, we have a conversation, I have to report back to my sister. Seriously? And I'm how old now? I mean, some people may see that as cute. I don't. I'm not two. Far from it. So yeah. So why is it, why is it that people are not seen? So Shelby, when you say that you were always in the shadow, was that because you preferred to be in the shadow, or that's just the way it was, that, people would come over and families coming over for Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, and, oh, hi, and then they're talking to everyone else. Some people prefer it that way. I know when I go to family functions, especially growing up, it was like, hi, how are you? And then it's like, I don't want to be seen. Just, you all go do whatever. I was always the one who was going to the corner to read a book or something, because that just wasn't my scene, so so do you think that people, okay, my either, yeah, I mean, some people, crave attention. Now, some people can say, well, Solid, you have a podcast. Aren't you craving attention? No, actually, I started this podcast because I wanted to talk about things that a lot of people did not want to talk about, and that's why I'm doing this podcast. Um, you know, um, just to talk about things that people whisper about. Um, but if I were walking down the street, do I want paparazzi following me? There are some people who enjoy that attention. Hey, GP, welcome. There are some people who enjoy the paparazzi. There are some people who enjoy being on camera. Look, take my picture, take my picture. And there are some people who are like, you know, go over there. I don't need to be on camera, but you have those people that do. So why do you think that um, you have people who need and crave that attention, and if that attention is going to someone else, like a partner, spouse, friend, sister, brother, mother, father, uncle, whatever, why do you think some people get upset? And I'm not even talking about people who get upset because you know you won a race, or you won an Academy Award, or you won a gold medal, or something as simple as you just won, a little ribbon at school. People really get upset. Some people really don't like the spotlight being on other people. They always want to do something to dim that light. Why do you think that is? Is it that they're insecure? That's the first word that I think of. Um, you know, um, you just won the lottery. I mean, why is it? Okay, and GP, you bring up a good point. So, do you think that people who need to be the center of attention and they won the lottery, that hey Damien, welcome back. Do you think that people who just won the lottery, and people who crave attention, that they're the ones who are going around telling everybody that they won? Because if I won, I'm not telling anybody. But do you think that people who crave attention are the ones that, if they win the lottery, they're the ones that are going around telling everybody that they won? You know, I don't know. And Damien says maybe, and then, when I say, can you be you at all times, when you're around these people who dim your light, who crave attention, who need to be center stage, do you find yourself turning into someone else? Do you find yourself being someone else just to please them, as opposed to being yourself? And if you do that, are you diminishing yourself? Uh, GB says, Solid, would you tell me when you won the lottery? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would go and get an attorney, and I would I would I would accept it without anyone knowing. And since California is a state that tells everyone you have to get an attorney, I think Ohio is a state where if you won, you can accept it on an anonymous basis. But most states, you have to get an attorney to accept it without everyone knowing. Okay, and then Shelby says, I think the ones, like you said, that want to be known will advertise they won. I mean, why is it is that? I mean, why is it that you have that one parent that your child, I mean, we all want to brag on our kids, but you have some parents that just brag, just, I mean, they just overly brag. And, why is that? Why is it that people, even if they want to bring attention, even if they're bragging on you, and you may not want the attention, is it attention really for them, or is it for you? Let's see. Damien says, I won't tell anyone, but there will be clues. My gas tank, my gas tank would be full. Oh boy. And Shelby says, I know a set of parents like that. So Shelby, is it that they are bragging on their kids, or that they're bragging on themselves? If that makes sense. I mean, like I said, we all brag on our kids. I mean, I know I brag on my son, but I also know that, he's that type of person that I know if we were at a party or something, I know to keep my mouth shut, because he would give me that look like, I really wish you would stop, don't, or don't do it, but so I mean, so I come back to, why do people have the need to dim your light so theirs will shine brighter? And if you allow someone, hey, Blunt, welcome. So, and if you allow someone, so if they are dimming your light, are you allowing them to do it? And if you're allowing them to do it, then can you really say anything or complain or get upset if they're always the one who are taking center stage? Okay, Shelby says both. No problem. I'm always late getting started. No problem. Damien says, most bragging their kids to show what a good parent they are, indirectly saying, I am a better parent than you. That's a good point. I never thought of it like that. I am a better parent than you. Yeah. I mean, there are some people who think that they are better parents, or they think that you're a bad parent. I mean, I was told that I was a bad parent because we did a show and I said that I spanked my child, so I guess I'm a bad parent. Let's see. I would, in that instance, I would strike back with my child's achievements. You know what, Shelby? Okay, you bring up another good point. All right, so I have seen people where you say, well, my child, won a gold medal, and his little sister is only 2 and she just ran the 400 in 2 seconds, whatever. And then people do come back and say, well, my child is this and my child's that. And then you have these parents who are going back and forth with their child's, my child is better than your child. So are they really bragging on their child or on their children, or are they bragging on themselves? So, it's interesting how you can look at things. And so I come back to the word, are they insecure? If you have someone who is abusive to their wife or husband or children, is that someone who they want to dim their light so they still shine, that when they go out as a family and the rest of the family is not saying anything, but here's this person who's the abuser, is loud and boisterous and what have you, and you may think that all is well when it's really not. Are people who are like that, do they tend to have red flags? Like if someone is like that when you're dating them, or if you're working with that person, that's your co-worker, or it's a friend, and they show those tendencies to always want to take center stage. Is that a red flag for you later down the road? Maybe I shouldn't get into a relationship with this person. Maybe they asked me to marry them, and I'm seeing, these red flags. They always want to be me. Is that the person that you back away from? your coworker, they're doing the same thing. Is that the person that you don't want to pair up with if you're working on something for work? Same thing for school. Is that the person you don't want to pair up with on that science uh, uh, homework because they always want to be the center of attention, and all the credit may go to these people and not to you. Okay, Shelly says they were, in my opinion, on themselves. Nail on the head in insecurity. Yeah, okay. What do haters do? Okay, GP, welcome, Taurus. When you say what do haters do, what do you mean by what do haters do? Are you saying that haters, that people who tend to hate on something tend to want attention? Is that what you're saying? So, and then people who are insecure. Does that start from childhood? If you always want to be the center of attention, is it because, there were 12 kids in your family and you were, never got a attention? Is it because you were the only child and got all the attention and you just carry it over into adulthood? What if it were just two of you or three of you? Um, is that something that happens overnight, or is that something that's been in the works for a while? And does your environment have anything to do with it? When I say your environment, I'm not just talking about your home life. I'm talking about, people that you hung around when you were little. Maybe your environment now as an adult. I mean, you weren't like that 2 years ago, but now, 2 years later, you're a jerk. And again, okay, Taurus says haters envy people that are full of life. I agree with that. I agree with that to a point, but you're right. I think that they are. But Taurus, do you think that is because they don't know how to live their life? And when I say live their life, I'm talking about they don't know how to enjoy life. Like they see other people, like, why is that person always smiling? Why is that person always happy? And they want to try to, dim your light, when in fact, why don't you smile sometimes? Why don't you laugh? Why don't you? So is it, they just don't know how. Shelby says, one intention and tend to make the other person feel left out. Haters hate on others. Okay, you got it, GP. Da, da, da. I don't like to be central attention. I just like to be heard. And jealousy. Okay. So, Taurus, I think the majority of us just want to be heard. I don't have to be the center of attention, but can I at least, say something? Um, you know, um, but jealousy, and yeah, you don't want to be the center of attention, but you just want to be heard. Hey, chill, welcome. Um, but even when you have those people who never speak up, like it's always that one person in the group who has a really soft voice and they really don't say much, whatever. But even when they do say that one thing, that when they very rarely speak up, sometimes you have that person who is always there to shut them down. It's like, well, can they say something? They never say anything. Oh well, you don't want to listen to them anyway, blah 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 blah. And then that person retreats back into their shell. Okay, hold on, Shelby. Okay, Shelby wanted to come up. Hey, Shelby, welcome. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Um, we all know that I have problems with a sister-in-law, and that's most of
Yes.
this. Most of my comments are about. This person has made my life a living hell, as we know, and she and or her youngest and my youngest were in gymnastics, competitive gymnastics together. And from the time that they were small, I mean, they were very close in age. And from the time that they were small, she tried to compare our kids together. And anything that her daughter done was better than what my daughter done. And now, mind you, there are 3 children on my mother-in-law's family. But this sister-in-law would purposely leave my children out of any kind of outing, or, if they plan an outing with the kids, they purposely did not invite my kids or anything. So they grew up without their cousins on that side. So to me, it's like they wanted all the attention for themselves.
So was this the sister-in-law that wants the attention, or that attitude fed down into the kids? Like now the kids are the same way.
The kids are like that. Yeah, the kids are like that, especially the one that's my youngest daughter, that they grew up competing with each other. Oh, she's awful. She is very, she's awful. She's just like her mama.
So, okay, so what do you do with people like that? I mean, do you think that one day, because this is what I truly think, and I've seen it come to pass with some kids. If children grow up like that, they'll get a wake up call, not necessarily through their family, but through their peers. Like if you're like that, it's like all of a sudden you go to school and you're behaving like that, and your peers are not going to deal with it. So sometimes that wake up call comes through your peers, not necessarily through your family. But you cannot always be the center of attention.
I hate to say, in our situation, her peers are just as stuck up as she is. In our situation, it took losing a family member, but things did not get any better.
So once again, Shelby, so what do you do? I mean, do you call that person out saying you don't always have to be the center of attention? Do you just ignore them? Do you just fall back
let it be known that, they don't have to be that way in roundabout ways?
So are they like that with, I mean, because people who are like that, they tend to be like that with people outside of the family or outside of their friendship group. Like they may be like that, within their friendship group, but they're also like that, when they go to the store, they have to, oh my God, how come there's no lettuce? And they have to make a big production over the fact that there's no lettuce or something like that.
Well, I can say that where she used to work, they don't like her, and I just found that out the other day. So, it was pretty bad.
So Shelby, then I go to my last question. So when you're around your sister-in-law, are you?
I don't go around them anymore.
Okay. I just want to, I'm coming back to you, Shelby, but I just want to read what Damien says. He says, you can educate your child on the situation depending upon age. I agree with that. And Tora says, sometimes you got to accept people the way they are. Yes, you do have to accept them. And then that's when I'm like, I don't need to be around you. If that's the way you are, then, then that's fine, but I don't need to deal with it. So Shelby, so I ask you then, when you, see, Ellie says, right choice, Shelby, if she is toxic. So when you were dealing with her, when you were going around her, were you? Were you always you?
I was always me, but I was always ignored. Or if I said anything, I was always looked at funny, or like, why are you interjecting in our conversation type look, you know?
I mean,
Um,
from by her, not from everyone else,
yeah,
but by her.
yeah, by her, by her.
So what would you do? Would you just not say anything and just,
Yeah, I got to where I'd just sit in a corner.
was that by choice or were you intimidated?
It was by choice.
Okay.
Because, you know, you get fed up after a while, you know, of getting dirty looks, or, you know, knowing that you're being talked about in roundabout ways kind of hurts your feelings, you know, and it
Mm-hmm.
just, it makes you think. And I mean, you know, partially could have been that I was paranoid, but still, you know, you get tired of it after a while.
So Shelby, is there ever a situation where you would want to be the center of attention? And I'm not talking about, if you get married or, like I said, you win a gold medal or something like that. I mean, is there any time in your life when you, and I'm getting personal, if you don't want to answer me, you don't have to, um, that you would have liked to have been the center of attention, where you would have liked to have people say, look at me? Because I do think that we've
No.
always, I think at some level, we've all kind of been there, even if we were younger, maybe not necessarily in our adult life.
I'm not that type of person.
Okay. All right. All right. Um, so your child, your youngest one, you said, who competed with your sister-in-law's daughter, um, is she like you, where she just says, you know what, I'm not even going to bother with them?
Now she has seen the light. You know, when she was younger, she was like, you know, why are they always like this, you know? And I just tell her, you know, you just have to overlook some people, you know. But now she sees what it, you know, what they're like, and she's like, why did I ever think that I could, you know, bow down to her, in other words, you know, which she was a very good gymnast. I mean, she won thousands of awards, you know, but she would purposely lose different competitions just so her cousin can win those competitions.
Well, you said your daughter would.
Yes, my daughter would, just so her cousin could win. But her
And
cousin would never do the same for her.
wait, but okay, but and the purpose of doing that was what?
Just to bow down to her, you know, to make her look good. Cousin to look good.
But when people, I don't know how everyone else feels, but if you win something and it wasn't earned, if you win something because, by default, or like Shelby, what your daughter did, she purposely would, lose a race, so she would win. I couldn't, you know, for me, I couldn't be happy with that win. But at the same time, it's like you walk around and the person who's like, oh, I won, I won, I won, knowing damn good and well that they didn't. It's like, don't you think that other people know that you didn't win? Or if you, win by, if you have a sports team and you win because the other team defaulted or they did something, yes, you're happy, whatever, but that was not a real win. It was like, okay, you moved up to the next stage by default. You did not win. You did not earn it.
You would think that, but she didn't think that.
Okay, okay,
She thought, oh, I outbeat my cousin.
okay.
You know,
And
that's
Ellie
how
says,
big of a head they have.
that's unfair. Damon says that's not healthy. And Taurus, thank you for liking the show. Thank you everyone for liking the show. Okay, so Shelby, do you think that I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about the sister-in-law. That
Hmm.
here's that word, insecure. because people do put people down because they're insecure. So do you think that your sister-in-law is an insecure person?
She possibly could be, yeah.
And does she treat other people the same way as she treats you, or just you because she knows she can get away with it?
I couldn't really answer that because I really don't know. Because, after a while, I got to where I just didn't care anymore. You can sit there and tell somebody, oh, well, they're just the greatest person. And I'm like, once you hear that enough, you get tired of hearing that. And I would literally walk away from the person I was talking to when they would say, oh, she's just this person in the world. I'd roll my eyes and I'd walk away.
I've done that before. Yeah. Now, GP says Gen Z standards, Generation Z standards. Um, I mean, do you think that it is a generation thing that you have? The younger generation is more of the me. I want to be center stage, and the older generation, the silent generation, and the baby boomers, and maybe some millennials are not like that. Because I think younger people do like to be center stage, but I think that you have a lot of older people who I think younger people, and correct me if you guys think I'm wrong. I think younger people want the attention of, you have your TikToks out there, you have your Instagrams, you have all these apps where they can be center stage. Whereas I think the older generation is more center stage, where I'm the man of the house, you better listen to me. Or it's more of the old school stuff as opposed to the new stuff. I'm trying to make sense, y'all. I am.
I
So
understand what you're saying.
okay, and Tora says bragging only means you're not used to having it. Do you really think
Yeah.
that? I mean, but okay, but some people brag because they're truly happy. I mean, some people brag because they like, oh my god, I finally won this, and they talk about it over and over and over and over and over. So is that bragging because you're happy and proud, as opposed to bragging because, well, look at what I have, and this is this, and mine is bigger than
Sometimes,
yours, so
sometimes you can find people that they're insecure.
okay, all
Like
right,
me, on the other hand, I don't brag because I'm insecure. I'm brag because I'm literally proud. I have a husband that goes out and works 12-hour shifts 7 days a week, you know, and he very rarely takes a day off. I brag because I'm proud of him for doing that.
okay,
Whereas the ex husband would hardly get off the couch to go to work for anything.
okay, all right, all right. And I have to say, y'all have heard me brag brag on my kid, because I am proud of him. I am very proud of him. Okay, Shelby, I'm gonna move over to your buddy, Crucible. Well, you all say it's your buddy, so I'm moving over to your buddy. Hello, Crucible. Welcome.
Hey, Solid. Hey, Shelby. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I think you can ascribe a lot of the Gen Z stuff. I get the Gen Zs and the X's and the Ys. I get them mixed up because I'm old. But I think you can ascribe some of it. The term, I should say, participation trophy has been overused, I think, in my view, but it's become a metaphor for those generations. I remember when I grew up in a long ago period, I played a lot of sports, and I'm talking 12 and 13 years old, and we wanted to win, and our coaches wanted to win. You should have seen these guys. My dad was a coach. My friends' dads were coaches. These guys were the World War II generation guys, and they didn't give an F about anything but winning. They didn't care if it was a softball game on a Sunday afternoon, a little league game, a basketball game. They did not care. They picked the best players, and there was lots of tears. I was one of them a few times, and we would go to war, so to speak, because we and the coaches wanted to win. When we lost a game, if anybody were to suggest that we were going to go out for ice cream, we would have had an open revolt. We would have been like, we just lost the damn game. And it was, we were a little bit serious for 12 years old, but we didn't care about participating. We didn't care that we tried hard. We didn't care about any of that stuff, and neither did the coaches. So today, I think you have a different breed of parent who wants to shield their child from. The irony is they're not shielding from any of the really pernicious things like social media platforms and the TikToks and the Instagrams of the world. That's what's really harming that generation. But they want to shield them from life's unpleasantries, which we all know is impossible. You can delay them, but you can't avoid them. So I think that sort of perpetuates that whole thing. But just to kind of close off with the insecurity thing, I mean, we're all insecure people. I'm insecure. Probably every person walking the streets today is insecure on some level for some reason. We hide it because we're embarrassed by it, but it's part of our nature. What the problem comes in is when people want to exploit those insecurities for their own benefit or for their own stature, I think, and that's what I think you guys are referring to with Shelby and the competition and whatnot. You can't do that. I mean, it's not fair. It's not productive. It's not helpful. So I think that's probably where it started. But insecurities are part of life. It's when we exploit them in other people is when we start to become very destructive.
Okay, so Crucible, I agree with you on some things, and I disagree with you on some things. I know you're going to say yes, you always do, whatever. But we had this topic or this line. This we were talking about this as you brought something up with the participation trophies and what have you. We talked about this a couple weeks ago on a different show about, do you give your children? I mean. Okay, so I think that you should give your child a pat on the back if they tried their best. Because the bottom line is you can't have a winner unless there's a loser. You can't be number one if there's no number two. But if you know that your kid tried really, really hard, and, I'm not saying, participation trophy or something, but you're not going to take them out for ice cream? Seriously? I mean, when my son was playing soccer and when he was in Little League, and my son was like the worst. My son is not into sports. He doesn't watch football. He couldn't even tell you who. I mean, he's 22, could not tell you, he was always into art. That's all he ever wanted to do. But when, I'm out there and I'm watching these parents just go at it, just really getting upset, and they would scream at my son, like, how come you're not hitting the ball? I mean, and he was in Little League where he was like, when he was like 4 and 5, they're yelling at him, whatever. And I'm like, don't yell at my kid, but you have these parents that are so involved like that. So it's like, is it for you or is it for the kid? Because to me, when you're in sports, I don't care if you're in sports. I don't care if you're in gymnastics. I don't care if you're in art school. I don't care what you're doing. When you're young, you're supposed to have fun. And I think that part of, winning is fun, but even if you lose, you should not be made to feel like you're just, oh my God, you lost, you're a bunch of crap and you want to go out for ice cream. How dare you? And you're 12. Now, if you're paying me $2 million a game, whatever, then if you want to yell at me, okay. But we're talking about, kids who are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that, parents should encourage their children. And if they do a good job and they try hard, because if I'm going to get yelled at every time I don't win, guess what? I'm not going to put forth the effort, and I don't want to put fear in my child because they didn't win or they didn't do this. I think that you should encourage your children. So what if they lose? Whatever. Again, it's a game. And yes, it is about, competing and stuff like that. But still, it is a game. And a lot of these sports, these children's sports now that you have these sports are that are on TV, and people are making money off of these kids now. It's not fun anymore. So, Crucible, you can respond to that. But first, I want to officially welcome. I did not say an official welcome to Taurus. I think I just welcomed you in the thing. Ellie, Juju, DMAC, and that's it. Who else did I not give an official welcome to? Damien, I gave you your official welcome. Ellie. Okay, so Crucible, you want to respond back to that?
Yeah, you make a good point. I mean, I'm not necessarily defending the culture we had back then with the crazy coaches and the seriousness we had of the sport. There were definitely people that took it way too seriously, tried to live way too vicariously through their children, and it got ugly sometimes. I'm not condoning it, but it was kind of the culture back then. But I don't think there's anything wrong with applauding your team or your kids for trying hard. You're not going to win every time. I think there's a sportsmanship element that's important. I think there's an accomplishment element that says that results do matter. There's a striving component that matters, but there's a results component that also matters as well. And that is, things need to be earned in life, and winning is important.
But winning is important. Okay, winning is important to who? And at what point are you going to tell someone who is 8 years old who's on a little league team, who is really probably just wants to have fun? Winning is important. I'm sorry, I think that's the wrong signal to send to a child. Yes, you do want to win, but at the same time, I don't want them to get up dreading like, oh my God, if we don't win, the coach is going to yell at me. Winning is not important. It's important to people who want to make money. It's important to
let me stop you there. I'm not condoning 8-year-olds being abused by being yelled at. That's a whole different ballgame. I'm talking probably teenagers here. And winning matters to people who play the game and who coach the game. It may not matter to a spectator or to a casual observer, but it matters to people who are spending their time and their effort to practice, to get good at their craft. Winning matters.
Okay.
It does. Is it everything? Of course not. But why get up in the morning if you're not going to strive to accomplish and succeed?
Okay. And you make a good point. But Crucible, then let me ask this. So if you had a kid who was probably have been my kid who just wanted to be on the team to have fun, would you not want him on the team just because he wanted to have fun and he wasn't all into the whole winning thing? And let's say he's 15 years old. I just want to have fun. I just want to hang out and have fun.
And I'm fine with that. Not everybody's going to be a serious athlete. Not everybody is a serious athlete.
So then, and winning may not be necessarily important to.
No, not necessarily, but he's a part of a larger enterprise to which winning is important.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, so are you going to diss the person who may not have your same values when it comes to the whole winning thing?
No, I would not. No, I completely respect that we have to have fun. We're out here for not just accomplishment, but for sportsmanship, for the learning, for the camaraderie. There's all kinds of ancillary elements that come with sports that don't have anything to do with winning. I think it's important to emphasize we're here to win. That's what our purpose. But if we don't, there are all kinds of other positive things that accrue to us as a result of this endeavor. I think that should be the lesson.
Okay. Taurus says a lot of people fear reality, so they hide and live a double personality. Seeing Ellie, you're saying to Taurus, that's cool. I'm not really sure what you're referring to. Taurus says, at least you try and enjoy the game. What matters? That's what I'm saying. If you try, you try. And then Damien says, fear is a good motivator sometimes. Thank you all for liking the show again. Ellie says, you should raise your child to be a warrior, fight for achieving things instead of making them aware of dangers ahead. And parents, GB says, parents get in fist fights at kids' games all the time. Bad decision. Yes, GP. Yes. Seriously, it's like I would be embarrassed if my parents got into a fight at a game. Seriously, it really is not that serious. winning and losing is very important. I'm sorry, Damien, like I just said to Crucible. So yeah, so Shelby, I'm gonna come back to you. You want to add anything? Agree with Crucible? Push back on him? Agree with me? Push back on me? Anybody in the chat?
Hey, Crucible. I want to say that I I agree but disagree. It's good to teach your child that that it's important for the sportsmanship, but winning is not everything. I mean, you have to teach the child good sportsmanship and to appreciate the competition. But, you also have to teach that child, hey, you're not going to be able to win at every single thing. But you also have to teach that child that just because they do lose, that, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to die because you didn't win.
So Shelby, okay, so with that said, I'm sticking to my topic here. So are you going to dim a child's life or a child's light on that team just because they were up at bat and they could have made the winning run or whatever, or they were playing soccer or whatever and they didn't get the goal or they didn't stop it, whatever? Are you going to dim their light by telling them, you're a loser, you're this? I mean, because there are some parents that do tell their kids that they are losers. So because that's another way of dimming someone's light. So is it the fact that are you really pissed off at them, or are you pissed off because you, the parent, or you, the coach, did not get that win, that you didn't get it, so you're going to take it out on someone else, so you're going to make them feel less than?
Well, my middle child did play soccer. And yes, there was many a goal she did not make. But I'm not going to I did not make her feel belittled or anything because she missed it, or didn't make it. I mean, that's just not something that hurts a child's ego to do that.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And, I don't know. I mean, I grew up with parents who, they had my back when it was, sports, which I, anything that I was in, it was like, did you try your best? And
right.
was usually was what my dad always says, did you try your best? And they knew, if I did well, you got up there and you didn't, do your best. And I'm, yeah, you're right, whatever. But but many times, when I did, and to me, it made me a stronger person. I don't want to be that. I'm glad I didn't have parents who were like, you should have done this, you should have done that. What, you want ice cream? No, hell no. And I don't want to be that parent. And I wasn't that parent, and I think people make mistakes like that, but that's just me. And Crucible, I want to direct something that Ellie says to you. Crucible, my parents did the wrong things. They always warning me. Now, I'm assuming that she may be, Ellie, I'm just going to say, are you referring to when you said you should raise your child to be a warrior, fight for achieving things instead of making them aware of dangers ahead? So, Crucible, hey, Caps, welcome. Being realistic to my 4 kids, when they feel less when I tell them why I'm sure. At least, yes, there are more important things in failure. Children should be reasonable to admit unwilling events and try to think as problem solvers instead of acting sentimentally. Okay.
But I also want to say something else. Now, when my daughter did play, she also knew after the game, she would come to me and she'd say, Mom, I did not play up to par. I could probably made that goal, but I just didn't. So when they get older like that, they know, that whether they played a good game or whether they played a bad game. But when they're little like that, you can't sit there and say, oh my gosh, you didn't make that goal. What's wrong with you? We're not doing this because you didn't make that goal. You can't do that because they're in their formative years.
And I agree with you 100%. And Crucible, I'm coming to you, but let me recap real quick. You have to let them know where they stand as well. People don't understand that. Okay, Crucible,
Shelby makes some good points. That's one of the things that people don't understand about sports, particularly if people don't necessarily care for sports. And I appreciate that a lot of not everybody does, but there's a reason that kids play sports, that parents want their kids to play sports at such a young age. Not only is it good exercise and it gives them, gets them meeting other kids and get some socializing, all the things that come with that, but one of the things that you guys both touched on, when you call your kids a loser because they've lost or something, that's about as cruel as it gets. But one of the things about playing sports is as I'm sitting here pounding the drum about how important winning is, it's really important to learn how to lose. Because let's face it, we're 15, 16 years old when we're playing sports. We haven't even begun to taste life's, boot at the side of in the back of our pants. We haven't even begun to get kicked in the teeth yet. We haven't even begun to find out how cruel the world can be and that we're not always going to win. In fact, on a percentage basis, I think if you go throughout the course of your life, your winning percentage might be down in the 20 percentile range and you're losing the rest of the time. That's just the way the law of averages break. So when somebody says things like, show me a good loser and I'll show you a loser, that's just such macho BS, because it is important to learn how to lose. It's important to deal with setbacks. It's important to deal with disappointment. Like Shelby said about her daughter was savvy enough to know she didn't play up to par. She acknowledged it, but she learned a lesson. So there's all kinds of benefits that come from playing sports that shouldn't include dimming somebody's light. They should say, yeah, you did your best, you lost, but next time, look what you learned. So there's all kinds of opportunities to build character through losing. Because when you win, we don't really learn anything, do we? Things are easy when we win in life. We don't stop to evaluate anything because it came so easy. The only time we take stock usually is when we're dealing with setbacks. And sports is an early way to deal with setbacks.
Oh, okay. That phrase that you said, somebody used it on one of the previous shows. I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to listen to it. Show me a loser and show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. I think you should know how to be a good loser, because everybody cannot win. Everybody is not going to win. And like I said, you can't be number one if there's no number two. And your children do have to know what it's like to lose, but like Ellie says, if you can't teach them your children, or you can scare them. I mean, I don't want to scare my kid, but I think that there is a such thing as being a graceful loser. You don't have to be that loser that gets upset, and screaming and hollering, and you're acting like your parents or that coach who is getting, when a kid sees a coach or a parent jump up and down and get all upset because you lost, it's like, oh my God, it's like, what happens if it's something really serious and I lose? Is the whole world going to stop? Am I going to prison? I just don't think that winning is that important. I understand that you are part of a group of people who want to win, whatever, but if you don't, so what? And I say, because at the end of the day, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of pushback on what I'm about to say, you have the Super Bowl. Millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars go into that every single year. Okay, you have one team that is going to lose. Both teams are not going to win. One team is going to come home a loser. But you know what? They're still getting paid. So they lost. Okay, so what? This society is so into win, whatever, and that's when I go back to that you're dimming someone else's light, that we're so, is it for you or is it for them? Are you taking away from them because you want to be center stage, because you want to be that parent who has that kid that, yeah, my kid made the winning, hit or whatever it is? I mean, is it for them or is it for you? Damien says children should be taught to be accountable and humble from a young age. Losing teaches humility and sometimes accountability, which could instill values in them to work harder for the next event. Yes, Damien. So that's why I'm saying winning is not singularly important. Winning is not very important. And Cap says you have to lose to win in all factors of life. And I have done, you guys, I have done so many projects over the years. I have had businesses where I have started and they have failed and I didn't even get out the gate, whatever, but you learn and you pick yourself up, whatever. Somebody wanted to call me a loser. Fine. Okay. That's fine. But at least I'm picking myself up and I'm moving forward. So life is full of stops, starts, whatever, until I have a business now that is doing incredible. So Cap says, if you avoid that from your kids, they are going to be shocked in real life. Yes, they are. Hold on, Crucible. Cap says, I have 4 kids. He hates losing. I have 4 kids. He hates losing on a game, for example. He hates it, but he slowly gets over it because we are there to guide him. Winners breed leaders. Sometimes. Ellie says, never label your children like you are a liar, loser, jealous. If he lied to you, that doesn't mean he is a liar. If he lied to you, that doesn't mean he is a liar. I have to think about that one. Cap says, but being a sore loser is not good. I'm gonna use that. Get over it. If you, Ellie says, if you call your children lie, encourage them to lie more. Okay, Ellie, you're losing me here. If you call your children a lot, oh, you're encouraging them to lie more. Okay, all right. Okay, good parenting to Caps. Crucible.
Yeah, I just real quick. I think the only time you can label somebody a loser is if they refuse to try again. To your point about your businesses or the other projects or whatnot, you lost that time. That doesn't make you a loser. Losers are people who refuse to try again. That would be my only characterization, because getting up, if you don't get up, you're dead. Because everybody gets knocked down. It's what I'm going to botch this saying, but it's not how bad you blow it. It's how well you recover. We're all going to blow it from time to time. But the real transgression comes when you stop trying.
Okay. Shelby, you've been wanting to say something.
I agree with that, Crucible. You were talking about like pro ball, Solid, that there has to be a loser. And you're right, there has to be a loser. But it's all in how you perceive it. They're still going to get paid no matter what. Their pay is not going to be as much as the winner. No. But they're still going to get paid.
Right. And this is what I'm saying, because when whether you're going into that Super Bowl, you're going into that NBA championship, whatever, you're going to that soccer match, whatever, when you leave that locker room, you have to know that somebody is coming back, number 1, and somebody's coming back, number 2. Okay. And it may not be you. And that's why, when with athletes, when people get all like, oh my God, they lost, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I understand that people bet on games and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me, because I'm not getting anything out of somebody winning or losing. But those, when you're at that level, they are still getting paid, Right. But I do believe that, at a young age, you don't need a coach or a parent telling you that you should have won, especially when you're young. I don't care if you're 12, 13. I mean, I just don't. They don't need to hear that. And also, it just shows, your parents and coaches. I mean, to have parents literally get into fist fights over, at a children's game. We're talking a lot of these, like I said, little kids. I mean, people were yelling at my son. It's like he was really the worst person.
And that's unsportsmanlike on the parents.
But I'm like, seriously, you're going to yell at this 4 and 5-year-old kid because he struck out all the time, but he struck out. He was mad. But I'm just saying, I was that parent who, when, I'm standing on the sideline, and every child that came back in from striking out, whatever, I'm like, good try. I was that parent. because
Right.
my parents did that for me and my friends. So, I think I turned out okay. So anyway, guys, we're at the 105 mark. Let's see. Let me look at these comments here. Ellie says, I meant that we should not label them as a liar, loser, in effect on their subconscious. Okay, got it, Ellie. Cap says, I have to mess things up in order to prototype a job. If I don't, I don't know how to get it right. Never mind wrong in engineering terms. And you do have to mess some things up. You do have to screw some things up in order to get it right. So yeah, we learn through our own mistakes. Most inventions, Ellie says, and never smash their confidence. The day I started drawing, my dad told me if you don't look for a real job, you would end up a painter in the park who draws portraits and gets small wage, but I didn't take it seriously. Well, Ellie, I'm going to support your artistic endeavors because my son is an artist and I support him 100%. If he wants to go into the park to paint, then he can go into the park to paint. Okay, so last word, Shelby.
I just think that, we should be more in tune in how our kids feel. I mean, we as parents need to take in consideration now than how we were raised, because like Crucible said, we were raised that competition was everything and that winning was everything no matter what, and now they don't do that. But we need to consider our kids' feelings if they do lose, not baby them, and say, or not, I didn't mean baby them, not, condemn them, but to say, well, you're going to be okay. It's not the end of the world that you didn't win. That's all I have to say. If that made sense.
No, it did. It did make sense. Cap says, I always respect and be around my 4 kids who want to lose. They are able 14, 13, 12, and 9, and they know because we tell them. And I'm going to tell y'all, and y'all have heard this before, that my son was in one race where he was, it was inter-school race or whatever before he was homeschooled, and he was in third grade, and it was 7 runners. He was saying, Mom, he says, if I don't come in first, I'm gonna at least come in at least 2, 3, or 4. I said, okay, whatever. And he went out there and he was trying his best. My son was so far behind. I mean, literally, it was one of those things where you almost want to like turn out the lights, and you have that one kid that's whatever. But he crossed the line, whatever. He was upset, whatever. But I was like, you finished, you tried, because I saw how hard he was trying. My son just not a sports person, but I'm not going to call him a loser. I'm not going to say, oh my God, you didn't win. I wouldn't say that to anybody's kid. So, Crucible, last words.
Yeah, as far as the dimming of anybody's light, I don't think it's right under any circumstances. I mean, there's ways to correct behavior, but I think anytime someone's dimming somebody's light, it's for their own benefit. It's not a constructive undertaking. But back to the dimming of the light and losing, whether it's a setback, whether we lose a job, whether we lose a relationship, whether our sports team lost, that's a much more trivial issue. But whatever the topic is in life, when we lose or we have a setback, we don't forget how that feeling was. And I think there's an element of learning in the losing, because when we feel that way, we tell ourselves, I never want to feel this way again. Of course, we're going to, and we do, but at that time, when it's still fresh in our hearts and our minds, we vow to never feel that way again. We win, and that feeling is so fleeting that it doesn't really resonate with us. We expect to win, but when we don't win, that's when we take stock. So I think there's all kinds of lessons to be learned from setbacks, but there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. And dimming somebody's light for your own purposes is definitely a way not to do it. But this was a fun topic.
Well, thank you, Crucible. And everyone, I appreciate you guys coming. I really, really do. So I'm going to leave you guys with a song called Help Me Stand. I hope you guys like it. Give me a moment here. And Shelby and Crucible, thank you for popping up. And Ellie and Damien and Caps and Blunt and everyone who participated in the chat. I do appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone coming. So, let's see. Okay, so this is called Help Me Stand.
Wash me in the water, cleanse me in the mercy of your love.
Artlist.io.
I need a heavenly touch, 'cause I'll be backsliding. I need a little guiding for my soul. Only heaven knows.
Music licensing
'Cause I
reimagined.
just need
Oh, I forgot to pull that out.
helping hand. It's gonna help me stand. It's gonna help me stand. 'Cause I just need a helping hand. It's gonna help me stand. It's gonna help me stand.
Artlist.io.
Every now and then I get a feeling in my bones that I'm just wandering on my own.
Music licensing
So I
reimagined.
hit my knees and I'm crying out, please, oh Lord, won't you bring me back home? Yeah. Wash me in the water, cleanse me in the mercy of your love. I need a heavenly touch,
Artlist.io.
'cause I'll be backsliding. I need a little guiding for my soul. Only heaven knows. 'Cause I just need
Music licensing reimagined.
helping hand. It's gonna help me stand. It's gonna help me stand. 'Cause I just need a helping hand. It's gonna help me stand. It's gonna help me stand. 'Cause I just
Artlist.io.
need a helping hand. It's gonna help me stand. It's gonna help me stand. 'Cause I just need a helping
Music licensing reimagined.
It's gonna help me stand. It's gonna help me stand.
And that's it, everyone. Thank you. I hope to see you tomorrow. Mysum, welcome. We are ending, but welcome. And again, you guys enjoy the rest of your day or evening, wherever you are in the world. And I hope to see you tomorrow. And go where the wind takes you. Bye.